Game of Thrones is in its final season, and I have a confession to make. Aside from the pilot episode, I have never watched Game of Thrones. Now, I first became aware of the series' existence probably a couple of seasons in. I happened to notice a DVD set for what I think may have been the second or third season. And what struck me was that at first I thought it was a re-release of the Lord of the Rings movie trilogy, and then I realized, it was Game of Thrones. And I kind of looked at the back cover and thought, oh, this must be some sort of like cash-in of Lord of the Rings. It looks like it's Lord of the Rings for television. I wondered if the series was any good, and then I found out it was on HBO, which meant I wasn't going to get to see it. At this point in time, I was still doing the struggling musician gig and could not afford HBO. So it was just one of those things I just wasn't going to get to see. Sometime later, a friend loaned my partner a copy of the first season. And so I decided I would sit down and watch the pilot episode. And after watching the pilot episode, I decided I didn't want to watch any more. Now, before I explain why, I think I should let you know that two of my favorite filmmakers, Martin Scorsese and David Lynch, make motion pictures that are very hard R-rated, have at times explicit scenes of horrific violence and explicit sexual scenes. And I say this because I want you to understand that these are not things that immediately turn me off to a motion picture or a TV show. But when I watched the pilot for Game of Thrones, what turned me off the most was that on one hand, it felt like it was being written by somebody who knew how to start establishing characters and character relationships. And I saw the beginnings of what could be some potentially very interesting characters. But on the other hand, it looked like there was someone else writing it who was still like a 13 or 16-year-old boy. Watching the pilot episode to Game of Thrones reminded me of a lot of superhero comics during the late 80s and early 90s. Let me give you a little background. In the late 80s, two seminal and groundbreaking comic book series were released by DC Comics: Batman, The Dark Knight Returns by Frank Miller, and The Watchmen by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. Both of these books dealt with violence and sexual content in a way that previous superhero books hadn't. But both these books were well written and earned their classification title as a mature reader's book. These two books were both enormous critical and commercial successes, but the fallout was that publishers started having overt, dark, and gritty sex and violence inserted into their books in order to capitalize on that success. The majority of what I will classify as these fallout books read to me like a 16-year-old kid trying to convince me that this issue of Batman is mature because it has cussing in it, or this issue of Avengers has female nudity in it and sex, so now it's mature. Mature writing makes your story mature, not the inclusion of overt sex and violence. And that's how I felt when I watched the pilot episode of Game of Thrones. There was this juvenile aspect to the sexual content of the series that was just an immediate turnoff for me. And this juvenile mindset also translated over into some of how the violence was portrayed and how the language was used too. And once again, some of my favorite filmmakers make very explicit films, very explicit violence, very explicit sexual scenes. This stuff does not turn me off. When I see this sort of thing portrayed by filmmakers like Martin Scorsese or David Lynch, none of this feels juvenile. None of it feels gratuitously juvenile. It feels earned. So I just decided, not to continue. Now, my partner, however, she watched the whole thing and has since become a big fan of the show and has told me numerous times that I should watch it. Over the years, many friends and associates have said, oh yeah, you've really got to watch the show. Some have even said, I understand what you mean about that aspect of it during the first season, but have told me that has, since been tempered or has gone away. And so I was thinking, maybe I do need to give this show another chance because it has developed such a huge huge following. Maybe I do need to give it another chance. Maybe there's something that I've missed out on. So just as I'm thinking, hey, maybe I'll sit down and watch the entire series, start with season 1 and see what I want to do from there. Then I start seeing all these headlines about the season finale, and a lot of them very negative. Now, I don't want the show spoiled for me, and I have stayed spoiler-free. But now with all these headlines that I'm reading about the series finale, that the show has been ruined, I'm kind of curious to get some thoughts and opinions, if anyone can give me some spoiler-free thoughts and opinions on this. Do you think it's still worth my time, the investment of my time, to watch 7 seasons of this series? And who knows, maybe this would make an interesting series of videos where I watch a season and then give my thoughts on what I thought about it, since I'm coming from the show as basically a newbie. I'm going to take this moment to just give you a quick update on what's coming down the pike soon on the channel here. Number 1, I'm working on an in-depth analysis of the song Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. And I'm about halfway done on the writing process with that and hope to start filming it very soon. Be looking for that. Also, a review of the new album by Sammy Hagar and The Circle, entitled The Space Between. That's going to be coming sooner than the in-depth analysis of Everybody Wants to Rule the World. Anyways, let me know what you think. Please share your thoughts with me about this, and let me know what you think of the series finale, but just don't spoil anything for me, okay? Thanks, everybody. Take care.